Yahushua, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushua.
That he who blesseth himself in the earth shall bless himself in the God of truth. And he that sweareth in the earth shall swear by the God of truth, because the former troubles are forgotten, and because they are hid from mine eyes. For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. But be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that hath not filled his days. For the child shall die 100 years old. But the sinner, being 100 years old, shall be accursed. And they shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build, and another inhabit. They shall not plant, and another eat. Whereas the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble, for they are the seed of the blessed of the Lord, and their offspring with them. And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straw like the bullock, and dust shall be the serpent's meat. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, saith the Lord.
Barakatah Yahushua, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushua.
The Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and he's getting ready to set us up over the planet Earth. And just how he used Esau to take over the earth, what he called manifest destiny, he's going to use his men, the children of Israel, his elect, with his son Yahushua, leading with our King David, 12, the whole house of David. All right, they're going to take over the new world. They're going to take over the planet Earth and establish righteousness, just as Esau took over the earth and established wickedness. The children of Israel are going to take it over and establish righteousness. That's how this thing is going to go, man.
But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever.
Barakatah Yahushua, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushua.
But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Rakapadash, double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and its sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bashim, Yahushua, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. All right. And what I want to get into today, going into a lesson dealing with how, Esau, he's pressed on every side. All right. And also going into the least of the flock, okay, which is these small hats. When you look at how, the Lord has these devils in a predicament, okay, to where, these last few moves, all right, that they have to make, all right, it leads to their end, when they make the MOTB mandatory, okay, and when they enter into this third world war, well, that's it. That's the end of the road for Esau Edom. And the devil is pressed on every side, trying to figure a way out to overstep prophecy, man. Okay. This man has been given the task to try to undo the will of the Heavenly Father. We really got to meditate on that. This man has been given the task of trying to undo the will of Yahweh Bashim Shai, okay, which is written in prophecy, man. So he's at the point now to where he's pressed, man. He's pressed, man, and he's trying to figure this thing out to where he somehow wins. Okay, but there's no victory written for Esau Edom. Okay, and everything is subjugated to the will of Yahweh Bashim Shai. Reality is subjugated to the will of the Lord. There's nothing that's working outside of the Heavenly Father's will. Even in Esau's attempt to try to, undo the will of the Lord, well, that's within the will of the Lord. Okay? So prophecy, all right, which is the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Shai, the will of the Heavenly Father, okay, through his son Yahweh Shai, that we see playing out in the earth world, the will of the Heavenly Father, okay, has this devil pressed on every side. Okay, when you go here to the book of Proverbs 5:21, it said, "For the Lord sees clearly what a man does, examining every path he takes." Okay, so there's nothing that Esau was doing secretive to the Most High. All right, there's nothing that this devil can do that's a surprise to Yahweh Bashim Shai. Okay, this man was set up from the foundation of the earth to do exactly what he's doing in this time. Okay, and you go to verse 22, it says, "An evil man is held captive by his own sins. They are ropes that catch and hold him." Okay, so this man, he's entangling himself in his own wickedness. Okay, well, we're seeing that the devil, he's entangled in his own wickedness, man. He's in knots. Okay, and this is why we see this man all over the place. Okay, we see him, pivoting, doing this for a minute and leave that off, and do this for a minute and leave off from that, and try. This man has wrapped himself up in the snare. He's tangled up. Okay, his own wickedness has him tangled up, man. Okay, keep reading. It says he will die for lack of self-control. Okay, and this devil can't help himself. Okay, he can't help but try to be the Most High with this technology, with the weaponry he got. He can't help but go to war. He has no self-control. He can't help but outspin himself in his own kingdom. Okay, you look at every Edomite empire, every Edomite government, every Edomite superpower, major government. Okay, they all ended. Okay, because this devil had no self-control when it comes to war and when it comes to spending. Okay, this man can have all the wealth in the world and he will still outspend himself. Okay, because he has no self-control. Okay, he's the violent man. He cannot be at war. He has to take military action. He has to be at war. He has to have some conflict going on, man. All right, and it's going to be the end of his empire, and eventually it's going to be the end of him as a people. Okay, it says he will be lost because of his great foolishness, man. Okay, and now when we look out at Esau Edom, we see that he's a goddamn fool. We see how foolish this is for him to even try to pull this off, man. Okay, we see how foolish this goddamn man is, man. You see, so verse 23 again, he will die for lack of self-control. Okay, he will be lost because of his great foolishness, man. Okay, and the Most High got Esau looking silly as hell trying to pull this off, man. All right, as we really get into what this man is trying to do, this man is looking silly as hell, man. Okay, this man wants to, put a C-hip, a device in everyone. Okay, this man wants to control your thoughts. He wants to, he wants to do the predictive, what you call it, pre-crime. This man wants to 3D print food. Okay, he wants to re-engineer the cow. Okay, smart cities, programmable money. Like, you see what this nigga is doing. This is foolish, man. Okay, and the Lord finna stop this man in his tracks, man. And let's go here to Proverbs 11. Proverbs 11:6. It says, the godliness of good people, all right, of good people rescues them. And that's the hopeful elect. You know, as the Lord has allowed us to turn back to him in these latter days, okay, we're becoming godly. Okay, when we was in the world, we was in darkness, man. We were separated from our power. Okay, but the Lord has given us the Holy Spirit, you know, the understanding of his word, you know, the spirit to be obedient to this word to the best of our ability, you know, in the circumstances. Okay, the remnant, the elect is becoming a godly people. Okay, we're becoming the sons and daughters of the Most High. Okay, in righteousness, man. It said the ambition of the treacherous, all right, the ambition of the treacherous people traps them, man. Okay, and this nigga's ambition is to be the Most High. Okay, that's this nigga ambition to not you know, just to be the rulers forever. No, he wants to be the Most High. Okay, he wants his technology to completely replace the Most High. Okay, to where he's in full control of existence. He's in full control of reality. Okay, he determines what's right and what's wrong. It comes from him. Okay, and this devil has all this ambitions, and he's so treacherous. Okay, on his way to achieve it, but it's going to trap him, man. Okay, because all this treachery, okay, is going to flip on this devil, man. That's why even America, all the missiles are going to come and hit America, man, because there's been no government that's been more treacherous on the earth than the American government. Okay, and all that treachery has just been a trap to where it has created all these alliances against the American government, man. Okay, and right now, America's only real ally, these small hats, all right, their own ally. You see, these goddamn small hats are getting ready to drag them, okay, into a war, and it's gonna go bad for them, man. All right, the war that these small hats finna drag America into, that's it. Okay, that's it, man. That's the end of America. When these small hats drag America into this conflict with Iran, this is it. You know, now they can, all right, be conventional for a while, you know, but eventually we know it's going to go nuclear. And we eventually know these other nations are going to get into this war. All right. And eventually this war is going to go nuclear. Okay. So as these devils get closer and closer to implementing the CHIP, we see what? They're getting closer and closer to war. All right. The micro CHIP, okay, which is the MOTB, and this World War III, they go together. Okay, with the MOT, the MOTB, the micro CHIP, all right, being implemented first. Okay, now who knows the timeline once this thing is implemented for this war, you know, to go full blown and go nuclear. But we know, all right, that they run together. Okay, so let's go from there. I want to get this clip, but before I get the clip, you know, let's do a little fact checking, because this little channel, it has a lot of information sometimes, you know, like any of these videos, you know, because we filter everything through the scriptures, you know, so sometimes there's have some misinformation, you know. So I did some fact checking. Now this Wednesday, which is tomorrow, all right, this devil does plan on this devil Netanyahu, all right, does plan on meeting with Trump. Okay, and there's speculation. Well, matter of fact, let's read it, you know. So I did a fact check on the meeting. All right. So the devil Netanyahu, he is supposed to meet with Trump, all right, tomorrow. Okay, so that's going to be interesting going forward. All right, is these small hats going to put this pressure on, America to go with a strike. Okay, so we'll see. It says, so I asked, is Netanyahu, all right, supposed to meet with Trump tomorrow? It says, yes, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is scheduled to meet with U.S. President Donald Trump in Washington on Wednesday, February 11, 2026. The meeting moved up at Netanyahu's request. Okay, because Trump, all right, because America went over there and Iran handled their ass in the negotiation talk. Decide the location, decided the terms. Okay, so this nigga, he moved the meeting up, and it's probably come to fuss at Trump, man. All right, slap that nigga in the back of the head and ask him what the hell he doing. Okay, so it says the meeting moved up at Netanyahu's request will focus on critical discussions regarding U.S.-Iran negotiations and regional stability. Okay, so the main focal point is what? Discussions around Iran. Okay, so you go here, it says discussions on U.S. negotiation with Iran, including concerns over nuclear ambitions, ballistic missiles, and regional proxy groups, man. Okay, so why the hell? And Iran said they'll never discuss their ballistic missiles. Okay, they'll never discuss that. Why the hell? And it shows you that these small hats couldn't do nothing with Iran. Okay, they want Iran to reduce their ballistic missile range so it can't reach Israel. But Israel got all this shit that can reach them. Now, what type of dumbass shit is that, man? You want me to reduce my missile range till I can't reach you, but I know what you want, and you got nukes. Okay? So they pretty want Iran to cut their arms and legs off, and then they can fight. And these small hats, these Edomites cowards, man. Okay? They're playing point blank period, man. Okay? If the Lord wasn't holding Esau up in power and blessed this nigga with this sword, man, but the man himself, Esau, was a goddamn coward, man, especially these small hats, man. And if the Lord didn't bless this nigga with this sword, man, you see, because that's what struck fear in these nations, this nigga sword, man, that the Lord blessed him with, man. That he will always have, more advanced weaponry than everyone else. Okay? But what has happened, man, the Lord has raised up, okay, an alliance, okay, to take down the whore, to begin the process of taking down this whore. Okay? And Yahushua is coming to finalize that process, man, and judge the nations that was raised up to take her down, man. So Yahushua is coming back, the King of Kings, man. Okay, he's coming back to sit at the top of the hill, okay, of all these militaries of the earth. All right, it says focus is addressing potential stricter limits on Iran and the outcomes of recent indirect talks in Amman. Yeah, man, because Iran made America look weak. Okay, Iran dictated everything in that meeting. Where was that? All right, the format of the meeting. Okay, and what was going to be talked about. Okay, now speculation that they made the general leave. That's not confirmed. I spoke on the other day, but that's not confirmed. Okay, but something like that. They were keeping wraps. But either way, but just the fact that they got it to they dictated the location. Okay, they dictated the format from a multilateral to a bilateral, and the fact that they chose what they was going to talk about. Okay, they dictated their whole negotiation, man. Okay, so Netanyahu, he was supposed to come visit anyway, but he moved the meeting up. All right, to tomorrow, man. He said, show the Lord speeding this thing up, man. We in some beautiful times, man. We in some beautiful times, man. The water Yahweh Shema Shah, man, to be alive in these times. So let's let's go from there. All right, because these devils, Netanyahu, all right, they have been pressing, these small hats been pressing these Western governments, okay, to continue to help them. All right, and the main pressure is on America, to go all in with Iran. Okay, this is really the top priority of these small hats is to push America to go all in with Iran. So I said, did Benjamin Netanyahu press Western governments to keep aiding him in his wars in the Middle East? It says, yes, Benjamin Netanyahu has actively sought and responded to pressure from Western governments regarding their support for Israelis, all right, military efforts and political backing during this recent conflicts, particularly in the Gaza Strip. However, the dynamics are complex and involve both his appeals for aid and reactions to Western pressure depending on the issue. It says Netanyahu, all right, sought continued Western support for Israel's war efforts. Netanyahu has regularly engaged with key Western allies, especially the United States, to maintain military support, diplomatic backing, and political covering from Israeli actions in the Middle East. While recent public discussion has focused on reducing reliance on U.S. aid over the long term, he has also worked to reassure to keep close the support of Western governments and publics. Okay? So this devil, he's been pressuring the West, to continue supporting them in all right, their war campaigns, man, that they're waging in the Middle East. Okay, and the top priority is to get America to help them with Iran. Okay, so let's see if they give us something. Let's see, is netting. He might give us something. U.S. into he might give us some chat, trying to get kind of watered down. All right, let's see. He might give us some. It says, here's the most accurate current pictures as of February 2026, based on credible reporting and expert analysis. Let me see. It says he is working with Trump on security discussions that involve potential future strikes. Reports indicating that Netanyahu and Trump have discussed a second round of possible military action against Iran's nuclear infrastructure if Tehran rebuilds capabilities. Analysts interpret this as a way to keep pressure on Tehran. He is emphasizing Iranian threats to influence U.S. policy. Netanyahu and Israeli officials have highlighted Iran's missile program and regional support network as existential threats to Israel, framing them in ways that could encourage U.S. willingness to support stronger military act or punitive measures. Okay? So this devil, he's putting a lot of pressure on America, okay, to wage war, direct war with Iran, okay, because they can't do it by themselves. He can do a strike, okay, but a head-over war with Iran, the small hats ain't got enough ass on them, okay? It'd be bad, okay? I'm talking Jamal Crawford, Errol Spinks back, okay? So let's go from there. Let's go to the video. So I was just doing a little cross-referencing and fact-checking about some things. Want to play this video. So let's play this. All right. And then Yahoo, he coming to put pressure on Trump, man. Okay, because Trump done bagged down twice. Okay, to striking Iran. Okay, so Netanyahu moved the meeting of Bibi, okay, to tomorrow, man. So it's gonna be interesting, man. You know, to see what happened after tomorrow. You know, this like I say, this our Super Bowl. You know, this our Super Bowl, man. You know, these are big plays being made for prophecy's sake. So let's play this.
Terrify every Western leader. If Israel falls, Netanyahu just stood before cameras and delivered a threat to America and Europe that should terrify every Western leader. If Israel falls, he warned, you fall with us. This isn't diplomacy. This is blackmail. And here's what nobody's reporting about the meeting happening Wednesday that forces his hand. The video surfaced 48 hours ago. Netanyahu addressing Western governments. Fox News documented his exact words, December 17th. I demand that Western governments do what is necessary to fight anti-Semitism and provide the required safety and security for Jewish communities worldwide. They would be well advised to heed our warnings. I demand action from them. Now, stop. Read that phrasing. Heed our warnings. What warnings? What happens if they don't heed them? The threat becomes clearer when you understand Netanyahu's domestic political crisis. Al Jazeera reported 5 days ago that he faces corruption trials, judicial reform failures, and October 7th inquiry pressures simultaneously. His political survival depends on maintaining crisis conditions that make removing him seem dangerous. But here's the leverage nobody discusses publicly, the Samson option.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is
Horn Review documented in August 2025 that multiple Israeli leaders
And the devil, you know, Netanyahu, all right, you know, he's pretty much a political criminal. Okay, so he needs constant conflict, okay, to be taking place. All right. So he doesn't have to deal with none of the legal situation he has. Okay, so it's in his benefit to keep these things going, and it's in his benefit, okay, to go with Iran. All right, because of what? His ambition. See, these devils are so ambitious, man. Okay, because Iran stands in the way of this greater Israel project. Okay, now Iran is down with the New World Order. Okay, but they want, you know, more control of, you know, their government, you know. So these nations agree, but then it ain't like these nations got integrity, man. Like Esau, they agree, but come on, you think it's just a straightforward thing of integrity, like they dealing honest with each other? Everybody dealing treacherously, man. Okay, so they agree to an extent, but the closer they get to the New World Order, the closer they get to war. Okay, so the Lord got each of these different leaders in the spirit that he needs them in for the sake of prophecy, man. Okay, and then Yahoo, he's just in the spirit of, you know, of forever war, a warmonger, man. Okay, so let's let it play some more, and then he finna talk about the Samson option. Okay, well, that's a Israeli, you know, military doctrine. Okay. And that's the spirit of Lamech. You know, like, nigga, if you whoop my ass in this war, I'm gonna just nuke. Okay. So the stage is set. Not saying they're gonna nuke this week or this month. Okay. That's part of the small H doctrine, man. If they see all right, then they're like that. Like, they not gonna make it in the war. Okay. They have the Samson option, man. Okay. So all it takes is one. It's gonna take one nuke for this thing to go nuclear. Okay, because when one nuke go off, everybody gonna respond with nukes, man. Okay, so not saying, you know, this week, because I was able before that. All right, the MOTB has to be made mandatory. Okay, but we just understand these things that's involved with this conflict. You know, let it play some more.
Leaders since 1974 hinted at nuclear retaliation if Israel faces existential threats and America withdraws support. The doctrine takes its name from the biblical figure who brought down the temple, killing himself and thousands of enemies simultaneously. Netanyahu's recent statements fit this pattern perfectly. He's not asking Western governments for support. He's demanding it. And the implicit threat, fail to provide support. Watch what happens when Israel faces collapse. Now layer in Wednesday's Washington meeting. Haaretz reported 12 hours ago that Netanyahu flies to meet Trump amid resuming Iran negotiations. The headline asks, is this persuasion or coordination? Wrong question. It's ultimatum delivery. Netanyahu arrives Wednesday carrying specific demands Trump authorized strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. Foreign policy noted 5 days ago that Netanyahu wants Iran's missile program limited to 300 kilometers, just short of reaching Israeli territory. He wants uranium enrichment zeroed out. He wants underground facilities destroyed. And here's the threat if Trump refuses. Israel attacks unilaterally, triggers Iranian retaliation, draws American forces into regional war anyway, then blames Trump for insufficient.
Draws American forces into regional war anyway. The least of the flock shall draw them out. Okay? So America gonna get involved. You see? America gonna have to come on in. You see, all this dragging his feet, like Elder Apostle Tahar said, this last weekend, man. Esau dragging his goddamn feet. Okay? Get your goddamn digital public infrastructure set up. Okay? So you can mandate that CHIP, and that's gonna open the gate. All right, for you small hats and you Americans, you really gonna have to lock up, okay, with those kings of the East, man, and it's gonna go bad. Okay, and then you have our shot coming. All right, we always say to clear the board. Okay, so it's set up, man, to where these devils have trapped themselves. Okay, with no other options but to fulfill prophecy, man, and they lose. Okay.
Sufficient support when American casualties mount. Al Jazeera quoted Netanyahu's former aide, Mitchell Burr. There's a worry that Donald Trump will not strike Iran, which will continue to endanger Israel, and instead negotiate a conclusion that's good for him as a peacemaker and leave the regime in place. That worry drives Netanyahu's desperation, because if Trump negotiates peace with Iran, Netanyahu loses his crisis justification. Domestic investigations accelerate, corruption trials proceed, political rivals emerge, coalition collapses. So Netanyahu needs Trump to authorize military action. And Wednesday's meeting delivers the ultimatum. Strike Iran or watch Israel do it alone, then face consequences when the regional war you tried avoiding engulfs American forces regardless. The Times of Israel reported 1 week ago that Netanyahu told the Knesset, whoever attacks us will face unbearable consequences. But the real message targets Washington, not Tehran. Support Israeli strikes or face unbearable consequences when Israel acts unilaterally and drags America into conflict anyway. This explains the heed our warnings language. Netanyahu isn't warning about external threats. He's warning Western governments, provide the military support I'm demanding, or watch me create the crisis that forces your involvement on worse terms than if you'd cooperated initially. Wednesday's meeting tests whether Trump accepts this framing or pushes back. The corruption trials create timeline pressure nobody's discussing publicly. Netanyahu faces 3 simultaneous criminal cases involving bribery, fraud, and breach of trust. Testimony continues. Evidence mounts. Conviction probability increases daily. But Israeli law contains a peculiarity. Wartime prime ministers enjoy political immunity from removal, even while criminal proceedings continue. So Netanyahu's survival strategy requires permanent crisis conditions, preventing normal political accountability. Foreign policy documented, Netanyahu told The Economist, January 9th, that he wants to taper off American military aid to 0 over 10 years. Surface level, this sounds like independence. Actually, it's preparation for scenarios where American support becomes politically impossible to maintain. Why would Netanyahu voluntarily give up $3.8 billion annually? Because he anticipates American domestic politics, making that aid unsustainable regardless. Better to frame the transition as Israeli choice rather than American abandonment. And here's the calculation driving that anticipation. Gaza casualties exceeded 71,000 according to Al Jazeera. American public opinion shifted dramatically against Israel.
An IQ of 85 to 115 is considered average in the U.S.
Pew Research found Israeli favorability dropped 11 percentage points in 3 years to just 56%. Netanyahu understands this trajectory continues downward. Eventually, even Republican support for unconditional aid weakens. So he's positioning Israel to claim independence before America withdraws support, maintaining the narrative that Israel chooses to stand alone rather than being abandoned. But that positioning requires demonstrating Israel can survive without American assistance, which requires destroying Iran's ability to threaten Israeli existence, which requires convincing Trump to authorize the strikes Netanyahu wants but cannot execute alone successfully. The contradiction becomes obvious. Netanyahu claims Israel should become independent of American aid while simultaneously demanding Trump commit American military power to destroying Iranian nuclear facilities that Israeli forces cannot reliably eliminate. This isn't strategy, it's desperation masked as confidence.
These devils are desperate, man. On every side, these devils are desperate, man. Okay? Pressed on every side.
And Wednesday's meeting exposes the contradiction. Netanyahu will simultaneously argue Israel deserves independence from American oversight and demand American military action supporting Israeli objectives. Trump must either accept this contradictory framing or reject both premises entirely.
At the end of the day, prophecy gonna prevail. Okay? So let's go here real quick. I want to let's get this precept for sure. All right, you go Jeremiah 40:20, and let's get that word drag in the Google real quick. Okay, because this is exactly what's happening, man. And this is the Lord showing that He is. All right, this is our power showing that He is, man. Okay, so let's go here to Jeremiah. All right. We'll leave that video there. That was the main point. Okay. So this this meeting Wednesday, all right, tomorrow. It's gonna be interesting how that turned out. All right. So this is Jeremiah 49. All right, this is the book of Jeremiah 49:20. It said, therefore hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Al-Shai, that he have taken against Edom, and his purposes that he have purpose against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them, man. So what we're seeing is the least of the flock. Okay, which is these small hats. They're getting ready to draw America into this war. And this is all going against Edom as a whole, as a nation. Because this is going to be the destruction of America. All right, these small hats going to get obliterated in this war. Okay, their land going to be cleared out through war. It's going to usher in the return of Yahushua, man. Okay, which is going to destroy the militaries of the earth. This beast system government that runs the earth. Okay, all this new world infrastructure that these devils are throwing up. This technocracy, that's going to be destroyed, man. Okay, so this is the end of Esau, Edom, that we're watching unfold. You see? So let's real quick, and then we'll get another one. Let's just get this definition. All right. Because you go into that word draw in the Hebrew. Matter of fact, so let me get that word draw. Okay. Get this word draw real quick. Just to show at least to the flock shall draw. Okay, so you go here. In the Hebrew, it's sukkah. All right. Sukkah. Okay. Sukkah. All right, and it means what? To drag. All right, to drag. Okay, then also go down here and say what? To trail along. All right, so the Hebrew word sukkah for drag means to, for draw means to drag or trail along. You see, so when you go here on the Google real quick, and we're seeing this happening, all right, right before our eyes, real time, man. The Lord showing that He is. All right, so the word drag means to what? To pull someone or something along forcibly, roughly, or with difficulty. Okay? So there's these small hats are forcing America to get into the brawl, man. Okay? And you see, all right, America is really trying to bag out this shit. Okay? But nah, man, they've been with the word draw, you see? You see to yank. All right. So it said to pull someone or something along forcefully, all right, roughly or with difficulty, man. Okay. And these small hats are going to do something impulsive, man. Okay. It's going to force America to get involved, man. Okay. And right now, the Lord has, Iran on readiness. Okay. To where they locked and loaded. You see? For any provocation. So let's go here. Because prophecy gonna prevail. Prophecy is in our favor, man. And this is all part of all right, what we need to happen. Okay, for the victory over this whole beast system, man. So the Lord got this thing orchestrated perfectly, man. And the will of the Lord is playing out right before our eyes, man. And this should be, a faith booster for us, man. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 46, verse 9. It said, remember the former things are old, for I am the Most High, and there is none else. I am the Most High, and there is none like me. Okay? And the Most High separates himself by what? Prophecy, man. You see, speaking things before they happen and causing them to happen to show that he's in full control. Okay? These devils just playing like they're in control. Okay? Most High finna make that major statement in earth that he is. Okay? Isaiah 46 and 10 declaring that from the beginning and from the ancient times of things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand and I will do all my pleasure. My counsel shall stand and I will do all my pleasure. Okay, so what we're seeing right now is the Lord doing his pleasure in the earth, carrying out his counsel. Okay, which is going to end this wicked empire of Esau, which he's the last heathen to rule, and usher in a righteous kingdom. All right, beginning with Yahushua, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Okay, the first fruits and the rest of the elect, man. Okay, the Lord's pleasure is to establish his people a righteous dynasty and rulership, man. Okay, so that's the point. Just wanted to get into that. Lord will, you brothers. All right, and you brothers and you sisters edified once again. I'm gonna give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessing salutation to the hopeful. Shalom.